BBC London.
Well, joining me now is the author and journalist David Shukman, whose new book, The Response, examines how climate change is already affecting cities like London. Thank you for joining us, David. We heard there this warning of an unprecedented risk of wildfires from the new Fire Brigade Commissioner. And that's one of the issues you examine in your book, isn't it? What did you find?
Well, I was really shocked, and I think a lot of people are, to find out that nearly 40 houses in the London area were burned by wildfires 4 years ago on Britain's hottest day when we hit 40 degrees, July the 19th, 2022. Another 30 houses burnt in other parts of England. That was the largest loss of British housing to wildfire ever. It was a massive shock to everybody, the people who had to flee from their homes, and to the London Fire Brigade. They had a really tough day. You know, there were so many wildfires on fields and playing fields and parks in a great ring around the London suburbs that they actually ran out of fire engines for the first time since the Second World War. And they had a number of shocks. I mean, working in protective gear for hours on end in 40 degrees led a number of them to collapse from various overheating conditions. At the worst of the fires in the village of Wennington on the eastern edge of London, where 18 houses were burnt, the first crew at the scene discovered there wasn't enough water pressure in the mains to help fight the fires, which raises a big question about how fire brigades are going to relate to privatised water companies at a time when we're getting hotter and drier.
And David, I was hearing about that and running out, being close to running out of fire engines. I mean, how prepared are we?
Well, it's actually quite alarming. The London Fire Brigade has done an immense job since that day to train everybody in how to deal with wildfires, buy new equipment, as we heard in the report. But I commissioned some modelling from a scientist who's a specialist in wildfires to see what might have happened on that day in London, in Dagenham, a fire that burnt 14 houses, to see what might have happened if the wind had been very slightly different. And he found, and it was really scary to see, it wouldn't have been 14 houses burnt, it might easily have been more than 100. So this really is a very serious situation. The good news is there are things we can do to reduce the risk.
I was going to say, Londoners listening to this, might be concerned. They may wonder what they can do about it. Have you got any advice?
There's a great solution called a fire break. It's basically a wide strip of closely cut grass at the edge of open land. And we know it works because last summer in Dagenham, there was a big fire on open land and it threatened some houses, but the local council had cut a fire break, which acted as a barrier. So it's actually not that expensive. It's relatively easy to do, but it does require a shift of mindset. Not only coordinating the fire brigades and the local authorities, but also helping the public understand that this is a real risk. And if you've got good conditions and it's hot and dry, and people want to go out and maybe light a barbecue, really think again, because we know from so many examples that when you get wind, they can carry embers, sparks from the barbecues and set grassland alight. So it's about shifting how we all think of this new risk.
Thank you very much, David Shukman.